Hello everybody, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome back to another Yugioh VRains episode review. This time we will be reviewing episode 25 of VRains. I apologize for being 2 days delayed. This was the first morning where I woke up and I did not feel deathly sick, so I do apologize for the delay, but I appreciate you guys waiting and being patient with me. And of course I did update that, the review would be a little late because I was feeling ill. Hopefully my voice doesn't sound too congested. I am feeling definitely a lot better than I was yesterday and on Wednesday, but I appreciate the understanding that you guys always show, and I hope you guys are still raring to talk about episode 25, which aired earlier this week, because I have a lot to say about it, and I'm sure, and I really hope you guys do too. I'm not going to talk about the new ending. I reacted to the new ending. I uploaded that Wednesday morning, and there were some things that you guys pointed out to me post-upload, and some things that I noticed upon rewatching it 15, 20 times. I do really like the song. The song has grown on me a lot, as it always does after my first initial reaction, first time listening to it. And I'm going to do an ending in-depth analysis video tomorrow, most likely Sunday. If not tomorrow, Sunday. It will be out this weekend, so definitely be on the lookout for that. So I'm not going to talk about the ending at all. So anyway, let's get in this video at least. So anyway, let's get right into 25. What did I think of episode 25, the first part of the duel between Baira and Aoi? I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed episode 25. I thought this was a great episode. I thought they introduced Baira's character a lot better than they did Dr. Gnome. I mean, Gnome was introduced well. I just thought when he started dueling, he became a little bland. But Baira, I thought, was a very interesting and a pretty complex character for someone that, we learned her real name in this episode. If you don't look at summaries or spoilers, you don't even know what her name is until this episode. So we literally learn her name in this episode, and we get a good amount of backstory, I'd say, for what could have been a one-off villain. I don't think she will be a one-off villain, but I really liked what they did with her character. I liked what they did between the dynamic of Blue Angel and Emma. Emma continues to mentally dominate the Zaizens. She literally just rips Akira and Aoi apart mentally, and I'll get into that later in this video, later in this review. I guess starting from the beginning, we immediately get some insight and some really cool backstory on the character I just mentioned, Baira, along with Faust. Now, this was very interesting because I saw a lot of people who had watched the live stream. They were like, oh my god, this is Revolver's true parents or caretakers, and I guess caretakers is a better word. Obviously, once we got the subs, we all knew that they weren't really the parents, but they were. If it wasn't Yugioh, I would automatically assume they were husband and wife, because you figure they've been together for 10 years, and the way that they kind of depicted them taking care of Revolver, I would make it seem, it's very easy to say they're husband and wife, and I'm just going to go ahead and assume Faust and Baira are husband and wife, but they took care of Revolver when he was younger. Now, I've noticed that Faust and Kogami look very, very similar, and I actually thought they could be brothers. So could this be maybe an aunt and uncle taking care of Revolver while Kogami was really sick or was working for Soltech or was dead before he was revived, and maybe Faust and Baira are the ones that revived Kogami? Who really knows? This just is going to increase those theories, but they were taking care of Revolver, and we immediately see the guilt, and that's what I thought when I go back to earlier in this review when I talked about the complexity that they showed with Baira's character. At different points in the episode, we as a viewer saw how guilty she felt about all this, how bad she felt about all this, how bad she felt about the another virus, and how bad she felt about Revolver maybe taking the blame. And that is very important, folks, because you can already see the cracks in the Knights of Hanoi forming. I mentioned it in a couple of reviews ago, where Revolver, the main motive right now should be to do whatever Kogami wants. That's the goal of the Knights of Hanoi. And Revolver instead is delaying the final, what we don't know. I guess I'm going to call it Project X, the final thing before the world gets destroyed. As Baira put it, the worst cyber terrorist attack in history, the worst cyber crime in history, I believe she said. And it would fall on Revolver's shoulders. Now, Revolver said to Kogami he wanted more time because he wanted to duel Playmaker. He wanted to settle the score with Playmaker. So already Revolver's mindset is not on the Knights of Hanoi's goals. It's on his own personal goals. And that could be an issue. That's a little bit of a crack forming. And now we have another crack forming with two very high-ranking officials. We assume they're high-ranking officials in Baira and Faust, where Baira is like, I really don't want this to fall on Revolver. I mean, how can we live with ourselves if this falls on Revolver? We took care of him when he was younger. And Faust doesn't disagree with her. Faust doesn't agree with her, but he doesn't disagree with her. He says, well, if you don't want this to happen, then we have to find Playmaker. We have to retrieve the Ignis. And that way, we can do it a different way. I guess a more safe way where the Knights of Hanoi maybe don't get blamed, or maybe the whole Cyberse doesn't get wiped out. Or what I mean by, I shouldn't say the whole Cyberse, but it seems like this Project X thing that they're doing, the final resort, is going to wipe out all technology, even in the real world. That's kind of the basis that I got for it. So instead of doing that, if they just wipe out the Cyberse, they don't harm the real world. Whereas this final resort could harm the real world, and all of a sudden now Revolver is the leader of a group that destroyed everything. And he'll be the most hated person, not only in VRains, but to people who don't care about dueling, and to people who live in this world and just go to work and, live their lives without playing card games, which maybe doesn't happen in the Yu-Gi-Oh universe, but I like to think there are some people like that. So you can already see that they don't necessarily agree with what Kogami wants to do, and the cracks are already starting to form in the Knights of Hanoi, albeit they are very small, tiny cracks that maybe you can't even see on the surface, but they are there. They are definitely there. And so Baira is like, you're right, I'm going to find Ignis, I'm going to find Playmaker. And she goes, and she's extremely desperate because she almost kills two reporters. We see the frog and the pigeon, and she almost cards them, geez, this isn't ARC-5. She almost turns them into another immediately, and she realizes that, okay, they genuinely don't know, and that's right before Blue Angel shows up and challenges her to a duel. Before I get to that, I'm going to flip it to Blue Angel and Emma. Emma goes to Aoi, and this is, if I had one complaint about the episode, this would be it. If I had one complaint about the episode, this is absolutely it. We see Aoi walking, and, the kids are talking to the kids. The students are talking about her. They're not talking about her, but they're saying, yeah, Blue Angel is, gone. She's just a coward. She's not showing up. I wonder where she is. And Aoi just walks right past them, and I love Aoi. She is so socially awkward that you feel so bad for her, but at the same time, it's just so funny. I mean, she's just, even before Emma shows up in the motorcycle, she's just walking like she's dead inside, and Emma drives by her in the motorcycle, and this is the part of the episode, and so far of the show, that I really didn't like. With Yu-Gi-Oh, we always have to just assume that the characters are unable to identify who they are in VRains, that they're just not able to understand that, because Playmaker and Yusaku look similar, Emma and Ghost Girl look similar, she puts on that mask, but we have to assume that that mask is symbolic enough where, it's kind of like Batman and Bruce Wayne, or Clark Kent and Superman, I think that's actually the right comparison, you just don't know who they are in their other form, and that's fine, we have to assume that, but Aoi immediately figures out that Emma is Ghost Girl. And that was the one thing, and it's good for Aoi's character because it shows how kind of smart she is and how she's already smarter than so many people. I mean, keep in mind, this is a character that in Ghost Girl is supposed to be this so secretive, unidentifiable character. I mean, Yusaku and Kusanagi, who were able to find out everything about everyone, were not able to even identify her. In her dueling abilities, they weren't able to identify anything about her because she's this genius counter hacker. And so that was just something that I didn't really like, how easy it was for Aoi to identify that it was Emma, that she was Ghost Girl. I would have rather them done the scene where Emma just said, you might recognize me from VRains, and maybe said she was Ghost Girl, and maybe after she said that, kind of like led Aoi on to believe she was Ghost Girl. I don't know, I would have just rather seen that scene play out a little differently, because now it's like, okay, well maybe Yusaku does know that the girl that bought the hot dog from Kusanagi on the day that he got that weird email from Ghost Girl is the same person. And maybe Yusaku does know, but, we were always of the belief, it was kind of like with the U-Boys in ARC-5, where no one was able to tell them apart, even though they all looked so different, and we just, as a viewer, had to assume that, no one was able to tell them apart. And I don't know, the continuity there was kind of an issue for me, but you know what, it's such a minor thing, it didn't affect the episode. I just wish they did that scene a little better, but that's just my one complaint, if I had to, nitpick any complaint from the episode. But it was good for Aoi's character because it shows she is observant and she is intelligent, and so I like that a lot. And maybe that's the same reason that maybe that's the same way Akira found out that Emma was Ghost Girl. Who really knows? But for a secret counter genius hacker like her to be identified that easily, even though in this case she clearly wanted to be identified, I don't know, I thought that was kind of, I didn't really like that too much. But anyway, we go to the bridge, the same bridge where Emma took Akira's package and threw it right into the ocean. She ridicules Aoi, basically uses the same reverse psychology that Yusaku used to motivate Go when he versed Gnome, which works, because then we see Aoi duel Baira and a really, really angry Blue Angel duel Baira, might I add. So Emma basically says, up until now, you've just fought for yourself, which is true. Blue Angel even admits that. Now that you know your brother loves you, it's time to either put up or shut up. You're either going to fight for other people, or you're never going to be Blue Angel again, and you should just retire, and you're basically worthless. And so Emma then drives away on her motorcycle, and that clearly gets under Blue Angel's skin. It gets under Aoi's skin. Aoi's like, who the hell does she think she is? And she goes into VRains against her brother's wishes, which we see Akira and we see his fangirl, and that fangirl is just like Carly from 5Ds. She is so funny. She is low-key one of my favorite characters to watch. She immediately puts on the Blue Angel getup and is cheering for Akira's younger sister, and Blue Angel challenges Baira, and it works. We all thought that Blue Angel should challenge Spectre because he's the one that infected her, but Baira is the one who created this program. She's the one who created this virus that put Blue Angel into a coma, and so, because of that, it just makes sense for these two to duel. And the duel begins, and the duel was definitely interesting. And what I like about this duel, and leave your thoughts on this down below. I'll probably run a poll on Twitter. I always thought that Go was going to beat Gnome, but I have no idea who is going to win this duel, because I feel like Aoi needs a win, and I feel like at the same time Baira needs a win, because the Knights of Hanoi have not gotten any real legitimate wins yet. They haven't gotten any real wins, unless you just want to count the, 1,000 AIs that Baira and Faust beat, but we didn't see that duel at all. So I want to see an on-screen important win for a Knight of Hanoi. I don't think Faust is going to get it, because I'm pretty convinced Faust will duel Playmaker. If he even duels at all, we don't really know that. But I don't know who's going to win. I really have no idea who I even want to win. I'm rooting for Blue Angel, but both of these characters could use a win. So either way, whoever wins, hopefully they just do it right. Maybe it'll be another no result or a draw, but definitely let me know who you think is going to win. There was a cool shout out to Odeon when Baira played one of her magic cards, Temple of the Kings, which is a card that Odeon played in his duel against Joey, if I recall. So that the amount of Easter eggs and odes and nods to previous shows in VRains has been at Arc 5 level. I mean, there have been a lot of cool Easter eggs, so that was really awesome. Baira used a really creepy mummy deck, which I enjoyed. The one thing that didn't really make sense for Baira's character, I'm kind of getting into a long review here, so I'm going to start wrapping it up, is she feels clearly very guilty. When Blue Angel first confronts her, she feels guilty about the whole Another program. And then the second the duel starts, she starts gloating about it, about how Aoi was the first test subject and how they've ramped it up and used that virus to, make it a huge problem now in VRains. And so there's points where she seems very proud and very sadistic, and then there's other points where she clearly feels very guilty. So she's got a lot of different emotions going on, and I felt like the show was kind of trying to balance those two emotions in this short episode, and they didn't do an amazing job with it, but at the same time, I think it's awesome that they've given her these emotions, because we know that even when she's being sadistic, it kind of is a bit of a front, because she still feels very guilty, and she has a lot of anxiety about what is going to happen with the Knights of Hanoi, and most importantly with Revolver, who did not appear in this episode. But definitely an enjoyable episode, and I'm very excited for 26. So guys, I don't want to keep you here all day. Thank you so much for watching the review. The duel action was good, but there was nothing extremely notable, except that Baira did say, your deck has become so popular that I know how to counter it now, that everyone knows how to counter it, and Baira said that your deck is going to be useless against me. So it'll be interesting to see if she holds true to that promise, and if she is able to defeat Blue Angel, and we see Aoi's eyes and lose once again to the Knights of Hanoi. This will be the first literal time, because she figuratively lost to Spectre when he put in that virus and, lost her soul, literally. But this might be the first time where she literally loses a duel to a member of the Knights of Hanoi, and then she will become another again, which I really hope does not happen to her. That's why I don't know who's going to win this duel. I don't know who I want to win this duel. I'm rooting for Blue Angel, but at the same time, I want to see a knight get a win. I'm very torn, as you can tell, guys. But anyway, I will talk to you down below. I hope you enjoyed my review, and again, I apologize for the delay. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed. I will talk to you next time. Have an amazing day. TGIF. Enjoy your weekend.